Most people believe success is an event, a big break, a lucky moment, or a sudden turn of fate. But the truth is, success is rarely an overnight occurrence. It is the result of consistent habits, repeated day in and day out, often unnoticed. And failure? It follows the same pattern. Just as you can build success through small disciplined actions, you can also build failure through repeated poor choices. Consider this. No one wakes up one day and suddenly finds themselves completely out of shape, broke, or unfulfilled in life. It happens gradually. One skipped workout turns into a week, then a month, and soon the body weakens. One unnecessary expense seems harmless, but over time it snowballs into debt. A small decision to procrastinate may not seem like a big deal, but when it becomes a habit, opportunities slip away, leaving regret in their place. The law of compounding, success and failure work the same way. Success and failure operate under the same universal principle, the law of compounding. Small, repeated actions accumulate over time to produce significant results. The problem is that both positive and negative habits compound. You just don't notice the results immediately. Think about a person who decides to read just 10 pages of a book every day. That doesn't seem like much, does it? But over the course of a year, that's 3,650 pages, which is roughly 18 books. Now compare that to someone who doesn't read at all. After a year, the first person has absorbed knowledge, new perspectives, and wisdom, while the second person remains exactly where they were, or worse, further behind. You flip the example. Imagine a person who eats fast food 3 times a week. One burger won't ruin their health, but over months and years, the compounded effect leads to weight gain, sluggishness, and potential health issues. The small, seemingly harmless choices determine where they end up. The power of daily decisions. Every day you are either moving closer to success or further from it. There is no standing still. Every decision you make adds up. The challenge is that bad habits are easy to fall into because they often provide instant gratification, while success demands delayed rewards. Skipping a workout today won't make a visible difference. Spending an extra hour scrolling on social media won't ruin your career immediately, but let those decisions repeat, and soon they form a pattern that leads to failure. The same goes for positive habits. One healthy meal won't make you fit, and one productive hour of work won't build an empire. But done consistently, those small actions create momentum that leads to massive success. Success and failure are simply routines. Look at the most successful people in any field: athletes, business leaders, artists. Their achievements are not random. They are the product of disciplined routines. They wake up early. They exercise. They read. They practice. They focus. It's not one grand act of brilliance that gets them to the top. It's the cumulative effect of good habits, stacked over years. On the other hand, look at someone who struggles in life. Often, it's not because of one tragic mistake, but rather a series of neglected habits: waking up late, skipping learning opportunities, avoiding discomfort, making excuses instead of taking responsibility. Failure is simply success in reverse. Neglect, the silent builder of failure. Neglect is one of the most dangerous habits because it happens quietly. It's not loud or dramatic, it's subtle, almost invisible at first. A person doesn't need to actively choose failure, they just need to neglect the small habits that lead to success. Neglecting to save money leads to financial stress. Neglecting to take care of health leads to sickness. Neglecting to learn leads to stagnation. Neglecting relationships leads to loneliness. Most failures are not big, sudden disasters. They are the result of small daily neglects. And the problem? The effects don't show up immediately, which makes it easy to ignore them. But over time, the consequences are undeniable. Why good habits are hard and bad habits are easy. Bad habits are convenient. They provide instant pleasure. Eating junk food is easier than cooking a healthy meal. Watching TV is easier than reading a book. Complaining is easier than solving problems. That's why most people fall into failure. It requires no effort. Just let go and failure takes over like weeds in an untended garden. Success, on the other hand, requires intentional effort. It demands discipline, patience, and persistence. It requires pushing past the discomfort of building new habits. It's not difficult, but it is uncomfortable, and that's why so many people avoid it, the choice, success or failure. Every day, you have a choice to engage in habits that move you forward or habits that hold you back. And the most dangerous thing, most people don't realize they're making that choice. They think their habits don't matter, but over time, those daily decisions determine their entire future. So, look at your habits. Are they leading you towards success or toward failure? Because whether you realize it or not, your habits are shaping your destiny. Neglect is one of the most dangerous forces in life, not because it is aggressive or obvious, but because it is silent, subtle, and slow. No one wakes up one morning and suddenly finds their health failing, their finances in ruins, or their relationships broken beyond repair. These things don't happen overnight. They happen gradually, one small act of neglect at a time. The scariest part of neglect is that it often begins as an innocent choice. It does not seem like a big deal in the moment. Skipping a workout today doesn't feel like it will harm your health. Ignoring that small financial decision doesn't seem like it will ruin your future. Forgetting to call a loved one today doesn't seem like it will weaken the relationship. But over time, those small acts of neglect compound, creating results that are nearly impossible to reverse. The deceptive nature of small neglects. Neglect doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel urgent. And that's why it is so easy to overlook. If skipping a single workout made you gain 10 pounds immediately, you would never do it. If ignoring a financial responsibility caused instant bankruptcy, no one would take the risk. But that's not how life works. Neglect is like a small crack in the foundation of a house. It's hardly noticeable at first. You tell yourself it's not a big deal, maybe you'll fix it later. But as time passes, that crack expands, it weakens the entire structure. And by the time you finally pay attention, it's too late, the damage is done. This is how failure works. It does not happen because of one massive mistake. It happens because of 1,000 tiny moments of neglect, each one too small to feel dangerous, until they add up to something irreversible. Neglect in health, the silent destroyer. Consider how many people struggle with their health, not because of one sudden decision, but because of years of small neglects. At first, it starts as an innocent choice. A person skips the gym just for today because they are tired. Then, they make the same decision the next day. They start eating more processed food because it's easier than cooking. They stop paying attention to their sleep because they feel fine for now. Nothing seems wrong at first. They might not gain weight immediately. Their energy levels might not drop overnight, but slowly the body weakens. Weight creeps up, energy declines, aches and pains become normal, and by the time they feel the consequences, the damage has already been done. People don't become unhealthy because of one bad meal or one missed workout. They become unhealthy because they neglected small choices for years, never realizing they were setting themselves up for a future they never wanted. Neglect in finances, the road to stress. Financial ruin rarely happens because of one terrible decision. It happens because of consistent small neglects over time. A person starts by spending slightly more than they earn, not much, just a little. A few unnecessary purchases here and there. They don't save because they'll start next month. They don't invest because they think they can't afford it yet. Years pass. Their debt grows. The stress builds, and suddenly they find themselves trapped, unable to break free. The worst part, it all started so small that they didn't even realize what was happening until it was too late. Neglect in relationships. The slow fade. Relationships don't usually end because of one dramatic fight. They end because of small neglects that build up over time. At first, everything is fine. A person forgets to say, "I love you" one day. No big deal. They start spending a little less time together because life is busy. They stop putting effort into thoughtful gestures because they assume the relationship is secure. Over time, the distance grows. The bond weakens. Then, one day, they wake up feeling like strangers. They wonder what happened. They didn't have a major argument. They didn't plan for the relationship to fail, but it did, because of small moments of neglect, repeated over time. Neglect in personal growth, the death of potential. The most successful people in life don't get there by accident. They get there because they refuse to neglect their personal growth. They read, they learn, they improve. But neglecting personal growth is easy. A person stops reading because they feel like they don't have time. They stop learning new skills because life is already busy. They stop setting goals because they are comfortable where they are. Years go by. They realize they are the same person they were a decade ago. No new knowledge, no new skills, no progress, and they wonder why their life hasn't changed. The truth? They neglected the small disciplines that create success. The mind is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It has the ability to shape your reality, control your actions, and ultimately determine your destiny. But like any powerful tool, it must be cared for, maintained, and protected from harmful influences. Your mind is a garden. Whatever you plant in it will grow. The question is, are you planting seeds of success, growth, and positivity? Or are you allowing weeds of negativity, doubt, and fear to take over? The difference between people who thrive in life and those who struggle is often found in what they allow to take root in their minds. Just like a garden left unattended becomes overrun with weeds, a mind left unchecked will be filled with self-doubt, worry, procrastination, and negativity. It does not happen all at once. It happens gradually. Through the small things we allow ourselves to think, believe, and repeat every single day. The seeds you plant determine what grows. Imagine walking into a well-tended garden. You see vibrant flowers, healthy plants, and an atmosphere of peace and beauty. That garden did not grow by accident. It was cultivated with care. The gardener chose the best seeds, removed weeds before they spread, and consistently nurtured the soil. You imagine walking into a garden that has been neglected for months. Weeds have taken over. The plants are struggling. The beauty is gone, replaced by disorder. This too did not happen overnight. It started with small neglects, allowing the wrong things to take root and failing to remove them before they spread. Your mind works in exactly the same way. The thoughts you choose to focus on are like seeds. If you plant positive, empowering, and constructive thoughts, they will grow into confidence, discipline, and success. But if you allow negative, destructive, and limiting beliefs to settle in, they will grow just as fast. Except they will choke out the positive thoughts, just like weeds in a garden. The challenge is that most people don't realize they are planting weeds until it's too late. They allow small doubts to creep in. They listen to negative voices around them. They replay failures in their minds instead of focusing on opportunities. And before they know it, their mental garden is full of limiting beliefs, fears, and anxieties that stop them from moving forward. Weeds grow without permission. Success does not. One of the most dangerous things about weeds is that they don't need permission to grow. You don't have to plant weeds for them to appear. They come naturally, and if you don't actively remove them, they will take over everything. This is exactly how negative thoughts work. You don't need to invite them in, they come on their own. The world is full of negativity, distractions, and influences that will plant weeds in your mind if you are not careful. The news, social media, negative people, past failures, these are all sources of weeds that, if unchecked, will take over your mental space. Success, on the other hand, is like a healthy plant. It requires intentional effort. You must actively plant positive thoughts, nurture them daily, and remove any negativity before it has a chance to spread. If you do not take control of your thoughts, the weeds that destroy your mindset. There are specific that are particularly destructive when left unchecked in the mind. These include self-doubt, the voice that tells you I'm not good enough, or I don't have what it takes. If you let this belief take root, it will stop you before you even start. Fear of failure. The hesitation that keeps you from taking action. Fear paralyzes growth, and once it settles in, it spreads into every decision you make. Negative self-talk, the habit of criticizing yourself, focusing on weaknesses, and replaying past mistakes instead of learning from them. Procrastination, the small lie that says, I'll do it later. This weed starts small, but over time it grows into a pattern of delaying success indefinitely. Surrounding yourself with negative people. Just as weeds spread through a garden, negativity spreads through association. The people you surround yourself with will either nourish your mindset or pollute it. Victim mentality. The belief that life is happening to you instead of you having control over your destiny. This is one of the most dangerous weeds because it convinces you that success is outside your control. Each of these weeds may seem small at first, but if allowed to grow, they will choke out every positive belief and action, leaving behind frustration, regret, and stagnation. How to weed your mind daily. Just as a gardener must check for weeds every day, you must monitor your thoughts every day. The mind does not stay clean and positive on its own. It must be actively maintained. Here's how. Become aware of negative thoughts. You cannot remove a weed if you don't know it's there. Pay attention to the thoughts that repeat in your mind. Are they empowering or limiting? If they are negative, replace them immediately. Control your inputs. Be mindful of what you allow into your mental space. Are you consuming too much negativity from the news? Are you surrounded by people who drain your energy? Choose to feed your mind with books, mentors, and environments that inspire growth. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is like fertilizer for the mind. It strengthens positive thoughts and starves negativity. The more you focus on what is good, the less space there is for weeds to grow. Challenge limiting beliefs. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I can't, ask yourself, why not? Most limitations are self-imposed and can be removed once challenged. Take action even when it's small. The best way to kill procrastination is to act. Even small steps create momentum. Action is the antidote to doubt and fear. Your mind is a gardener and you are the gardener. Every day you have a choice, to plant seeds of growth or to let weeds take over. Whatever you choose to nurture will determine the kind of life you build. It is easy to look at the world and see everything that is wrong with it. Corruption, poverty, injustice, ignorance, and suffering. Everywhere you turn, there is something that needs to be fixed. People debate, criticize, and protest about how society should change, how governments should lead better, how companies should behave, and how others should act. But very few people stop to ask themselves the most important question. Am I setting the example of the change I want to see? The truth is, before you can fix anything outside of yourself, you must fix yourself first. You cannot help others if you are drowning in your own struggles. You cannot lead others if you have not learned to lead yourself. You cannot build a better world if you have not built a strong foundation within. Trying to fix the world without first fixing yourself is like trying to clean a dirty window with muddy hands. You only make things worse. The illusion of external change. Many people believe that if external circumstances change, their lives will improve. They think, if only my boss were better, I would enjoy my job. If only the government made better decisions, my life would be easier. If only other people understood me, I wouldn't have to explain myself so much. But these thoughts are an illusion because they place all power and responsibility in the hands of others. If you are waiting for the world to fix itself before you take responsibility for your own actions, you will be waiting forever. The world will always be imperfect. There will always be people who make bad choices, systems that are flawed, and situations that seem unfair. But the truth is, the only thing you have full control over is yourself. You cannot control the government, the economy, or the behavior of billions of people. But you can control your mindset, your habits, your character, and your own contribution to the world. Master yourself before you lead others. Imagine a person who wants to inspire others but cannot control their own emotions. They talk about discipline but hit the snooze button every morning. They preach about honesty but cut corners when no one is watching. They demand kindness from others but speak with bitterness and resentment. Such a person will never be truly respected because their words and actions do not align. Leadership, whether in a family, a company, a community, or the world, starts with self-mastery. The most effective leaders are those who have first learned to lead themselves. They discipline their own habits before telling others what to do. They seek wisdom before giving advice. They build strength before trying to protect others. They set an example not just through words, but through their daily actions. If you want to inspire change, start by becoming the kind of person others would want to follow. Instead of complaining about dishonest politicians, be the most honest person you know. Instead of criticizing lazy workers, become the hardest worker in the room. Instead of blaming society for ignorance, commit yourself to lifelong learning. The world needs more examples, not more critics. Your inner world reflects in the outer world. There is an ancient saying, as within, so without. This means that the state of your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and habits, directly influences your outer world. If your mind is full of chaos, your external life will reflect that chaos. If you are consumed by fear, doubt, and resentment, you will attract more negativity into your life. This is why fixing yourself first is so important. When you become more disciplined, your external life becomes more orderly. When you develop inner peace, your relationships improve. When you raise your standards, the people you surround yourself with begin to change. The world around you starts shifting, not because it has suddenly transformed, but because you have. People who lack self-awareness often blame others for their problems. They believe their suffering is caused by society, family, or fate, but they never stop to ask themselves, am I contributing to my own struggles? Many times the answer is yes. A person who is always in financial trouble might blame the economy, but have they disciplined their spending habits? Someone who struggles with relationships may blame others for being untrustworthy, but have they learned to communicate, set boundaries, and treat others with respect? A person who never achieves their dreams may blame bad luck, but have they built the patience, skill, and resilience required for success? When you stop blaming the world and start taking responsibility for your own life, everything changes. You realize that you are not powerless. You have the ability to improve your mindset, change your habits, and reshape your future. And once you do that, you become a force of change for others, not through words, but through action. Build strength before offering help. Imagine two people in a sinking boat. One person is barely staying afloat, struggling to breathe. The other is a strong swimmer who has spent years training in deep waters. Who is better suited to help others survive? The same logic applies in life. You cannot lift someone else if you are too weak to hold yourself up. You cannot give advice on success if you have never worked on yourself. You cannot guide others if you are lost. This is why personal development is not selfish, it is necessary. The stronger, wiser, and more disciplined you become, the more capable you are of helping others in a meaningful way. A person who has mastered self-retreat can teach others how to handle emotions. A person who has built financial stability can help others escape debt. A person who has cultivated knowledge can educate those who are lost in ignorance. The best way to fix the world is to first become the best version of yourself. When you fix your mindset, your actions improve. When your actions improve, your results improve. When your results improve, others start paying attention. And when others see what is possible, they are inspired to change as well. The power of personal responsibility. Most people wait for someone else to make the world better. They wait for the government to fix things, for companies to become more ethical, for society to become fairer. But the real solution starts on a much smaller personal level. The world does not change because of one grand policy or speech. It changes because individuals decide to become better versions of themselves. Each person who commits to personal excellence, self-discipline, and integrity contributes to a better society. You may not be able to fix every problem in the world, but you can fix yourself. And in doing so, you set a powerful example for others to follow.